Hey everybody, welcome to Poke Primer, the series where I teach you how to play the current decks in the Pokemon TCG Standard. Today we're going to be going over Iron Valiant Entei V, a deck that uses Iron Valiant's ability, Tachiyon Bits, to be able to move back and forth and put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. In this video we'll be going over the face cards of the deck, Iron Valiant and Entei V. We'll also be going over the attackers, a simple deck list, and tips and tricks on how to play the deck, as well as your opener. Iron Valiant EX is a future Pokemon that has the ability Tachiyon Bits. Tachiyon Bits says once during your turn, when this Pokemon moves from your bench to your active spot, you may put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Now you kind of get the idea of where this is going, right? We play a lot of switch cards, we play stuff like Escape Rope, and we kind of just move Iron Valiants from back and forth off the active to the bench. Entei V is the second card that this deck is based off of. Entei V has the ability Fleet-Footed. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw a card. It also has the attack Burning Rondo. For a fire and a colorless energy, it deals 20 damage, but it also deals 20 more damage for each benched Pokemon. Now this is kind of weird, because Iron Valiant is not an attacker in this list. It is only in there for its Tachiyon Bits ability. So if you ever wanted to play a deck where you go pew 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 to your opponent's Pokemon by just, putting 20 damage counters here, 20 damage counters there, this might be the deck for you. For our attackers in the list, we only run 4 unique attackers. We run 2 Entei V, which has the Burning Rondo attack. Not only do we draw if it's in the active position, but we're able to deal 20 plus 20 for each benched Pokemon. So if we say our opponent has 5 benched and we have 5 benched, that's easy 210 right there. Our next attacker in the list is Radiant Charizard. Radiant Charizard has the attack Combustion Blast. Combustion Blast hits for 250 for the cost of 1 fire and 4 colorless energy. Normally that would be unplayable, but with its ability Excited Heart, which reduces the colorless cost of the attacks for each prize card your opponent's taken, this makes it really good as your last go-to attacker, right? Your opponent's sitting on 1 or 2 prize cards, you're sitting on 2 prize cards, get the quick knockout with Radiant Charizard by putting it in there, attaching an energy, and getting the quick knockout for game. By comboing Moltres with Magma Basin, we're able to attach an energy onto it from the discard, and also put 20 damage on it, which allows it to deal 90 damage for just 1 energy. If you use this correctly in certain one-prize matchups, you can get really quick knockouts really efficiently. And last but not least, our final attacker, and one of the really cool things we include in this deck, is Medicham V. Medicham V has 2 attacks, but we're going to be ignoring Smash Uppercut. We're actually going to be exclusively looking at Yoga Loop. Yoga Loop says put 2 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. If your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by this attack, take an extra turn after this one. By using Yoga Loop and being able to take an extra turn, that can put you in a position where you could go from an unwinnable game state to being able to win the game by taking so many prizes in a row. Just note that if you take an extra turn with Yoga Loop, you can't take an extra turn with Yoga Loop again in that same turn. Your opponent will have to have a turn before you can use Yoga Loop again. In this list we'll be running 4 Iron Valiant EX, 2 Entei V, 2 Squawkabilly EX, 1 Medicham, 1 Moltres, 1 Radiant Charizard, and 1 Spiritomb with the Fetid and Misfortune ability. For trainers, we'll be running 40 of them. We'll be running 4 Professor's Research, 2 Colress's Experiment, 2 Iono, 1 Boss's Orders, 4 Battle VIP Pass, 4 Switch Cart, 4 Switch, 4 Escape Rope, 2 Nest Ball, 1 Earthen Vessel, 1 Hisuian Heavy Ball, 1 Super Rod, 1 Lost Vacuum, 2 Forest Sealstone, 2 Future Booster Energy Capsule, 1 Technical Machine De-Evolution, and 4 Magma Basin. For energy, we're going to be running about 8. We'll be running 5 Fire Energy and 3 Double Turbo Energy. When starting this list, some of the stuff that you want to start with is stuff like a Squawkabilly EX and multiple Iron Valiants onto the bench. You also want an Entei as well. The idea is that you want to be able to soften things up with Iron Valiant, and then be able to close things out with Entei V. Don't be afraid to fill up your bench, as Burning Rondo benefits for you having a bunch of stuff onto your bench, especially because you're going to be picking off your opponent's stuff. Keep in mind how you're going to be picking off your opponent's stuff with Yoga Loop, and what you're going to do with your extra turns. Don't be afraid to throw away energy with Professor's Research and things of the sort, because we have Magma Basin. The more switches and the more escape ropes that you use to put damage counters using Tachiyon Bits onto your opponent's Pokemon, the better of a game you're going to have. Using Future Booster Energy Capsule is also going to be huge. Having free retreats on your Iron Valiants are going to allow you to switch out into your Enteis to do final attacks, or use your Yoga Loops whenever you need. Lastly, Technical Machine de-evolution is going to be huge. Along with that, be really careful when you de-evolve things. I think I have some footage here where I accidentally de-evolved something a Charizard that should be a knockout for me, but instead, because it had a Vitality Band attached, it doesn't get knocked out. So be very careful when you use it, as it discards itself whenever you attach it. Technical Machine de-evolution can definitely be something that gets you some really cool plays, so don't be afraid to use it either. You want to use your trainers aggressively, like Colress's Experiment and Iono, because once you run out of switch cards, you're going to have a hard time trying to keep up with your opponent, as retreating is very costly for you in this deck. And that's about it for Iron Valiant and Entei V. This deck seems to be very different compared to other stuff that's currently on the ladder, and allows you to soften stuff up before you take knockouts with what were previously weaker attackers. You also get to take advantage of Yoga Loop, which allows you to take extra turns. So if this seems like your type of playstyle, I encourage you try it on PTCGL, as not all the cards will be rotated when rotation comes in. If you enjoyed this Poke Primer and other stuff like this, feel free to drop a comment below telling me how much you loved or hated it, and also give a follow, like, subscribe, whatever it's called at this point, and thank you so much for lasting until the end of the video. Over here, or over here, is going to be a link to the other Poke Primers, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a fantastic night. Bye-bye.